And we're recording. Hey guys, it's hopefully I can be able to dictate to you through the lovely mask, because I'm here to talk about the first episode of Australian Survivor, which I've just watched. Even though it aired like 2 days ago, I've actually not had time to actually see it, and so I've been holding off, trying to wait for the right video to watch, and now it's time for a recap to discuss what's been going on. And as you can tell, I'm wearing the top hood of the two tribes. So this year the contenders are wearing pink, so I'm wearing lovely Illyria on the snout today, and the champions are wearing blue. So as you can see, we've switched around for today. And one thing I didn't do from the last video when I did my react to it, I did know that one of their champions is Luke, who was on the Australian Survivor Season 2. And oh my god, it's more like he is a people's champion because he played such a great game last time, and just because he's so charming and he's just a lad's lad, he can kind of work his way through it. So in honour of Luke's opening remark, he goes, I'm a snake. And he's a self-proclaimed snake because he knows how he can cheat, beg, borrow, barter to play the game of survival. So he is a champion in his own way. So let's talk about opening credits, opening scene. Really well done this year. I think it was done at a point where the contenders, they were dropped off like pitch black at night. The contenders were walking through the jungle as the sun was coming up, and it was a great opening scene. Contenders talking about their storyline, and then the champions coming in, hardcore swimming through the river, and it was a really good setting of the scene to get this ultimate battle off to a good start. And the one thing I like about Contenders as Champions, it's very similar to the American. They did heroes and villains back in season 20, because they did the master absolute square off from people having heroic moves to play the game and people playing villainous moves to win the game. And so this is what we have. We have the contenders and the champions straight away, instant rivalry. They're all sizing each other up, seeing what this. One of the girls mentions, "Oh my god, the contenders are looking like a young bunch, and the champions are looking a bit older and past their prime." And so the gauntlet has been set, ready for this battle. So, a first reward challenge, we go for it straight away, and it is, you pick your champion to go into the arena, and it's basically a big sand pit, 2 people on either side, and there's a sandbag in the middle of it. And in the ring, there are 2 squares, and you've got to bring the bag in and plot it onto your tribe's ring square mat. And so here we go, the first mashup, and the contenders do so well off the bat. They really just go for it. It was 2 guys on 2 guys. Well, the 2 guys won both points for the contenders. It was more like just going at it. Really good strategy. The matchup between Luke and I think Matt is his name. Matt's going to be a handful if the contenders carry on going the way they're doing, because it was a massive Champion 2! Like really muscles. So I think whenever that gets to a point in the game where he gets so obnoxious, so annoyingly irritated by the tribe, he'll be an easy vote off later on in the game. But anyway, digress, going on to spoilers. So contenders win the first 2 points, and then the champions then put up 2 girls to go on to the next battle. That's falling off. And the champions put 2 women up, and they did so well. Anastasia was one bat up, and then the other one was done by Abigail, I think it was, from the she was the AFL Women's Football League. Really got my high hopes for her. She looks like she's got a really good idea, strategy. Hopefully when things try to get switched up, you may get a more of like a idea for it. And then second round goes to the champions. So it's 2-2. And then you got the decider. And the decider is between Andy from the contenders and E.T. from the champions. Now, because I'm not Australian, I don't know much about their sport history, but it is a massive battle. Andy, a little bit scrawnier, but he is proclaiming to be a fantastic triple threat. And then E.T., 55, really big muscly, obviously ages, deteriorated a lot of his muscles, but he tried to keep his body shape quite well. And the match is massive, straight up the bat. Like, it gets to a point where Andy is on E.T.'s mat, but you have to put the sandbag actually in the ring. And Andy does so well to try and flip over and miss it each time, and then he pushes E.T. off the ring. So that makes it a redo. So he will start over again. And E.T.'s like, he's winded, he looks like he's done past it. I'm not sure if it's strategy, it looked like it was strategy, but it could have been something completely different. But anyway, so Andy and E.T. go at it, and E.T. just ends up pulling Andy across, and the champions win. Which is a good thing for them. Things like, oh, we were so cocky at the beginning, but it's early days yet in the game, we have no idea how this is going to play out in the further field. So, Champions and Contenders first day on their beaches, it seems to be going really well. Champion instantly shouter build up, fire being made by Nova, very good in the kitchen, and as an Aboriginal woman, she really knows how to make fire. But obviously she's an older woman, she's got to have her claim, her right in it, because she's a former athlete. She's seen as like former sporty, but she's still known as like the older sports group, because they seem to get an alliance together very quickly of 7, of which everyone who's more sports-like, as in they've won Olympic gold medals, or if they've had, like, become champions in their own right at top of their game. Which it's a 7-5 sway vote, 7-5. So they can say if the Triple Council happens, then they know that there's a 7 majority to put out the rest of the 5, which Luke is a part of it, but my boy is not going down anytime soon, so we're going to watch this space and see what happens. The Contenders, however, they seem to have a bit like a laissez-faire, laissez-dire kind of mentality. Their shelter, oh god. You can always tell when it's like fans' favourites, or first timers, or smallest drive, and they can't make a shelter, or it breaks, it collapses. You can always know it's a good survival season when they can't build shelter, and they can't make fire, and they don't have water, and they don't have food. Because the morning of the immunity challenge, they soaked some beans overnight, and half the tribe were like throwing up in the corner. You all know, like when you buy beans or like anything like that, you've got to soak them really well before overnight or 24 hours before you cook them. But then you still have to cook them to get any of the extra antioxidants and of the toxins that you get from the beans that create when they grow. Some things just react to your system, to your gut really badly, and unfortunately, if you don't cook the beans, you're going to throw them up because you just go. And poor young Ben is his name, a young 123-year-old. He was heaving in the corner, so they call him the self-proclaimed princess. So we'll see how he does in the later stages of the game. So, immunity challenge. It is time for redemption. So we're going into it. And Andy from the Contender side, he's saying like he's a super fan, because obviously the Contenders all like because obviously Contenders don't know each other well enough, and they all make up a story of or tell people what they do for a living and vice versa. And Andy's like is a super fan, but because he's wearing a golf hat, he uses up the golfing like travel vlogging thing. But he is a super fan. So going into this immunity challenge, I saw how it was all set up. It's physical. It's teamwork, getting up over walls, getting a massive ramp, pushing as a one big group because you've got to get momentum to get it moving forward. And at the end, you've got to pull up this massive banner, and you've got 5 targets, and you've got to throw hammers at them. So you've got to really get your it's weight, it's projectile, it's spin. You've got to really get your hands at the right angle to get through it. And I knew the second I saw that, Andy would go straight for the throwing, and he did it so well. He was like, "Oh yeah, I can throw. It's fine." None of them knew how good he was at this. I'm sure he played this game. It didn't show in the clip, but I'm sure he played this 1,000 times, throwing hammers at targets. He is going to be a challenge beast for... it's like when David and Goliath in the American version, Christian being the powerhouse of puzzles. You have to get to the end and beat Christian's tribe before he even gets to a puzzle, because he's like... Ding, 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 ding. Yeah. So, Andy, so the champions lead off from the very beginning. Champions go straight for it. Power, strength, teamwork, muscle, just working as a good unit. The champions have a very good core unit. Contenders a little bit over the place, but still working hard. There's a lot of strong guys in their group, so they still have a lot of capability to overpower the strength in the two tribes. The champions get to the map first, and throwing for the champions were Chris and the model. I forgot what his name is. The throwing. And they're a little bit over the place. And the contenders get there, and it's Andy throwing with John, or I don't know much of the contenders yet. The contenders haven't had much of a focus yet because Andy is a beast. He throws and throws and throws, and you can see like that slow motion as the panel goes dunk, and then up goes the hands. Contenders win immunity, and that is the starting is like David and Goliath, the champions of contenders. The story has been set, the stage has been lit, the cast has been through it, and now we have to take the champions to Tribal Council. The torch is going to be snuffed. Now, let's just say the champions this year do not seem to have this game down. Last year, obviously, Russell Hans was on the champions team last year, and he was the first easy early vote out first. He was just there just to cause problems, and they were like, right, no, we don't let Russell get out. Luke, however, this year being a champion, he's not Russell Hans. He's a people's champion. He's not going to get voted out early on. He's going to have problems later on because Spy Shack is going to come up at some point. He's going to start winning rewards and getting into everyone's ear at the same time, and everyone's ear at the same time. So we're going to watch out to see how Luke does, because the snake is starting to sidewind his way for a blindside. Anyway, so there is altercations in the champions camp, with Nova being in the kitchen doing her thing, and Anastasia, so she is a 2-time mental math, she's a brain mastermind, so she's been in, her mind works 1,000 times like mine does, in certain ways, and also in challenges, she's also a professional ballerina, so she has great athletic ability and mental strength, and social game probably not been as great because she tried to like say, okay, they was doing kitchen and they stepped back and they did not do anything, but you can see her going, you gotta hold on to it, otherwise it's not gonna happen. And in Survivor you need to keep motion in check, and Pia said this, she's like, Pia's the actress from Australia, she's been in so many different things, people know her for her, but she's not physically strong. She's tiny, she's scrappy, but she was an obvious name drop for her first role. So, at this point you've got the 5 at the WoW that are not the sports team, the 7. So you've got Luke, his right hand man, his Jericho of the season, then you've got Joe, the CEO of Boost, you've got Anastasia, and you've got Pia. So the 5 of them, talking about like who they think we can sway or get over. In comes Nova, just sits there. And they're all talking, and they go, Nova, what's going on? And she goes, no, just listening. And then she goes, oh, and then she walks off. And everyone's like, that's all I'm gonna say on that. So we'll just do whatever that is. So Nova immediately goes straight after her, because they dropped the name of Susie into the team, because during the challenge Susie wasn't the greatest at moving and taking things across and getting picked around and falling down and all that. She's a strong swimmer, but she's not a physical hauler in a way. Like, she's just not able to get up over things. Her strength is in the water, so a swimming challenge comes up sooner or later, Susie will be the beast to it. She'll be like, duck ya. So, at the minute we've got Pia being name dropped by the 7 sports. You've got Anastasia trying not to be like, and then also you've got Susie being dropped by the 5. So at that point we're going like, all 3 women are going, well, our name's been dropped out, your name's been dropped out, your name's been dropped out. What do we do? Which of the 3 women that are being named been dropped out? It's good. It's quite good to drop one of the 3 under the bus. So, but as long as it's not me, we can vote for one of these 2. And the one who we're talking to is the one you actually know you don't want to stay with. So therefore, Pia approaches Susie and goes, well, it's not me or you. but they're also talking about Anastasia. So let's just spell out Anastasia. Anastasia then goes and talks to Joe, and they're talking about, well, it seems like everyone either wants to vote for me or Pia. And so by that point, Anastasia's like, well, I want to stay. Let's spell out Pia. And then Susie is still part of the 7, so I think Susie's okay at that point, because I don't think any of the 7 are going to sway. But Nova, who's still got her eyes on the claws, and she noticed Anastasia's, like, claw. She's like, I want her. Get me Anastasia out. So, we have, going to our council, potentially 5 are going to vote for Susie, but Pia then switches and wants to vote out Anastasia, because no one wants to vote out Anastasia. But then the girls then have to convince the guys in the sports team, like E.T. and Chris and all, who they want to vote out. And so at Trevor Council, Pia says she's able to put on the waterworks quite easily, and you could see her trying to cry, but I don't think it was natural coming to her, and it wasn't as intense, but I think she knew that she might have gotten Susie and Nova on her side. And so, the votes came down. I think Luke and Joe and Pia clammed on. Luke and Joe and Anastasia voted for Pia, and everyone else voted for Anastasia. So it was like a 1-1-3-3 vote, and then all of the rest of it goes Anastasia. So that's it. Anastasia is first one out. Contenders take first blood, and now we're going on to next week. Well, today is another episode on airing today. So Australian Survivor works more differently. There's a new episode like every other day, or like 3 times a week. So we're going to see how quickly this game emerges. Because it's 50 days, 24 people, 1 survivor. And let's see what happens.